This is a review for Scorn. Spoilers ahead. Scorn is a horror puzzle game developed by Ebb Software that released on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation in October of 2022. It would go on to win Best Art Direction at the 2022 IGN Horror Game Awards, Best Visual Art at the 2022 Central and Eastern European Game Awards, and Best Visual Art at the 2024 Indie Game Award hosted by Taipei Game Show. As far as I can tell, this is the only project that Ebb Software has released, and it was published by Kepler Interactive, the same publishing collective that put out Clair Obscur Expedition 33. In Scorn, you'll find yourself waking up in a grotesque nightmare trying to find a means of escape. This game is old school in the sense that you have to solve many mandatory puzzles, and you're fully expected to figure them out yourself with no instruction. You're simply dropped into this world, and you have to experiment with the different things you can interact with until you find a way to progress. The world of Scorn starts with winding hallways littered with tentacles and gore. Everything feels like machines made of viscera, operating off of fluids moving through entrail-esque tubes into sacs, and mechanical parts made of chitin or bone. You interact with these machines by inserting various appendages into orifices, sometimes fusing them with your body, or by sacrificing other living creatures as if they're simply resources. Later, you'll find yourself in more elegant scenery, surrounded by massive towers and psychedelic statues and carvings depicting themes of sexual intimacy, reproduction, and the circle of life. The environment towards the end of the game is reminiscent of the works by the artist Alex Grey, who made many of the album covers for the band Tool. There is combat in Scorn, but it's by far the worst part of the game. It's super clunky and just feels completely unnecessary. The guns feel inconsistent, as you can sometimes kill an enemy in 1 or 2 shots, while other time it takes 3 or 4 shots with the same weapon. Although that doesn't sound like a widespread, the ammo is pretty rare and hard to come by, so you'll definitely be counting your shots. You have a unique weapon that, instead of shooting enemies, just kind of punches them. While it does have an infinite amount of uses, it has a low use speed and is very limited in range, which becomes a problem when almost all of the enemies you face have ranged attacks. If you run out of ammo, you're forced to run in, punch them in the face with your punching gun, turn around and run away, hopefully far enough to evade their ranged attack, but there's a delay between when you turn around and when you start sprinting, meaning that you'll often just end up taking a bunch of damage. With healing items being just as rare as ammo, getting hit once or twice by even the basic enemies can easily lead to your death. Rather than giving you guns and a subpar combat system, the game would have been better suited for an Amnesia-style experience where you just straight up can't fight back and you have to run. Or, you could find clever ways to use the environment to kill your enemies. While not being able to figure out a puzzle is frustrating, dying to clunky combat mechanics is certainly worse. The plot to Scorn is told entirely through environmental storytelling, as there is no dialogue or notes for you to read, and it's likely you won't even understand what's going on until you've beaten the game. You start deep down in the blood and guts, and have no course of action but to survive and move forward, up and out. You get attacked by a parasite that attaches itself to you, digging its claws deep into your abdomen. Eventually, the parasite digs its way deep enough to infect your body and cover your arms in a root-like tentacles that prevent their use. You find a machine that can tear out the parasite, but in doing so, you completely destroy your body, leaving you limping and broken. Just before all of it ends, you find a machine that can tap into your consciousness and allow you to pilot a remote body, which you can use to carry yourself to salvation. But right before your escape, you're once again attacked by the parasite, this time infecting you and freezing your body in place in a pillar of tentacles and viscera. The ending to Scorn is undoubtedly a bad ending, but it's an ending that plays into the game's name. By definition, Scorn is the feeling that something is worthless. In Greek mythology, the first king of the Greek city-state of Corinth, named Sisyphus, was sent to the underworld and punished for his crimes of defying the gods and cheating death. As punishment, Hades, the god of the dead, forced Sisyphus to eternally push a boulder up a steep hill, only for the boulder to roll back down the hill in an endless cycle. During your entire time in Scorn, you're trying to escape this nightmare world that you find yourself in, but attempting to escape was futile from the very beginning. There was never a chance that you would make it out. You were always destined to be recycled back into the machine, just as Sisyphus was destined to roll his boulder up the hill once again. The best thing that Scorn has going for it is its amazing graphics and atmosphere. There isn't really background music, but more so a background droning ambience that's complemented by the sounds of creatures and machinery moving. My playthrough was relatively bug-free, but I did encounter a bug twice where I wasn't able to activate an elevator even though the prompt to activate it was showing and I was pressing the right button. both times, quitting to the main menu and re-entering the game solved the issue. If you like horror puzzle games like the Amnesia series, you'll love Scorn. Atmosphere and puzzles are what this game succeeds at. If you're looking for an action combat game with horror elements, you should look somewhere else. Combat is clunky and a much smaller part of the game compared to puzzle solving. Scorn is a fantastic game that is definitely worthy of a playthrough, but probably not multiple playthroughs. The main draw of the game is solving the puzzles with no instructions through experimentation. Once you've beaten the game, you know how all of the puzzles work and where to go, so there really isn't much gained from additional playthroughs. There's also only one ending, so you don't even get the option of multiple endings. The game is currently $40 on Steam, which is a bit of a high price to pay for a single-player game that only contains around 5 to 10 hours of playtime. With that being said though, I did find the game on sale for much cheaper. At the moment of writing this script, the deluxe edition is currently on sale for $12.49 on Steam. Somewhere around $20 seems like the sweet spot for the price of this game. If you can pick it up for that price or cheaper, then I would definitely say you should. As much as I really enjoyed it, I don't think I can recommend someone paying full price for such a short experience. For comparison, I just played through Mirror's Edge, which has a similar length and is currently only going for $20. Outriders, which I just reviewed and also only paid $20 for, has a story that is about 3 times longer than Scorn. Overall, I'm going to give Scorn a 7 out of 10. I wanted to give it an 8 or a 9 out of 10, but unfortunately I just can't do that when I factor in the non-sale price of $40 and how short the game is. The concepts, the art, the overall vision of the game are fantastic. It's just too expensive, too short, and bogged down by some unfortunate combat mechanics.